Okay, since the Indianapolis Colts don't know who their quarterback is, I decided to ask someone who might know who the Colts quarterback is. Hey, Horse. Hey, who's gonna play Sunday? Hey, Horse. Is it gonna be Carson Wentz? Is his ankles all right? Do you know? Are you guys bringing back Andrew Luck? Hey, Horse, I'm talking to you. Is Andrew Luck coming back? It doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. You guys are gonna get your ass kicked anyway. Fuck the Colts. Tighten up.
McNair gives it to George, running right up the middle. Touchdown! Titans! There are no flags on the field! It's a miracle!
Safety, now you're one-on-one with it.
Shows why he's the man! In trouble. Sack!
What's up, Titan Nation? How's everyone doing? It's been a while, but I'm back, and I brought my friend with me. We're back to do the pregame videos again. It's always a good time with Mr. Ken Moore in the house. How you doing, Ken?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. How are you? Great to be back on the show.
Yeah.
Week 3 coming up, huge game, and hey, let's get at it.
Yeah, let's definitely go into. We'll break down, the Colts. We'll obviously talk a little bit about the injury reports. We got ankle, twinkle toes. We don't know what's happening with him. We'll also talk, obviously, about the Titans, who's ruled out already for the Sunday game. But, again, it's a really, really big matchup in the AFC South, even though it's still early. And even though we're 1-1 and the Colts are 0-2, it's still a big game. Don't you agree, Ken, on that one?
I think it's the biggest game of the year,
Yeah.
to be completely honest with you. The Titans have been in this situation before, particularly against the Colts when they've had a chance at home to put a stranglehold on the division. And year after year, we let it slip away, and then we have to end up going to Indy to try to make that game up and win it later in the season. How nice would it be on Love You Blue Throwback Weekend?
Yes, sir.
For the Titans to go take stranglehold of the division, put the Colts all the way down to 0-3. You're the only winning team in the division, but will they get it done? That remains to be seen.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the background. Nice throwback again. It's all Oilers, man. A lot of people, especially down in H-Town where you're at, man, a lot of people are still a little salty.
Yeah, people down here are still a little salty. A lot of people don't want to let it go that the Oilers are in Nashville. And, of course, I'm right here. I grew up in the Love You Blue area, so I grew up with all those guys, Billy White Shoes Johnson and Robert Brazil and Dante Pastorini, Earl Campbell, Warren Moon, the run and shoot. That was my heritage. I grew up. That's what made me love football. So when you look in my game room, you're going to see all Oilers stuff. I mean, of course, I have my Titan stuff mixed in, but that's my era, the late 80s, the 90s, when the team was really, really popular. And it's really great to see Amy Adams embrace those guys, give those guys a place where they can go and be honored. I actually went to the funeral of the late Vaughn Phillips when he passed away several years ago, just because he was a beloved figure in this town. So I'm really, really happy to see him get his just due in the Ring of Honor. I'm not sure if his daughter Susan will be there. I know she's on social media a lot here in the Houston area, Facebook and things like that. So hopefully she'll be there to honor her dad.
Definitely, man. And let's break this down, man. Let's talk about the Colts. They lose against the Rams, which again it's a stellar team. They're no joke. They lost 27-24. Carson Wentz was 20 for 31, 247 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Jonathan Taylor had 15 carries. I mean, that's kind of like child's play compared to to Derrick Henry's carries. And then you have Michael Pittman, who had 8 receptions for 123 yards. Again, Wentz went down late in the game. Apparently, it was his ankles. We don't know. I know that he practiced today for the first time. Pushing the Colts to 0-2. The Colts are never going to be a pushover team. I feel like they're still a very well-coached football team. Again, with the coach, defense is still really good defense, even though they got picked apart by the Seahawks. But then again, so did we. Had some miscues there like that. What do you think about those stats? What do you think a little bit about that game against the Rams? What did you see for the Colts?
Yeah, it was a good game. Obviously, Wentz got hurt. The Colts, when you look at the stats were pretty even because the Colts got into the red zone on several occasions and didn't come away with points because Frank Wright, he's one of those coaches, he'll go for it on 4th down. If he's inside the 30, he's going to go for it on 4th down more times than not. And he went for it twice inside the 5-yard line. And they came away with no points on both of those occasions. So you factor in, if they would have just taken field goals on both of those occasions, maybe the Colts win that football game. So those are some of the things that, people will say, hey, they lost, but you have to look at why they lost and the little details. Now, of course, the Rams gave them 7 points back on a special teams miscue where they snap the ball and it hits the up man and it bounces into the end zone. So the Colts kind of got those 7 points back. But statistically, it was an even played game. Carson Wentz has played well this season, despite the injuries and everything that he's been through physically. When he's been in the lineup, he's played well. So it will be interesting to see. From what I understand, he did practice today for the first time this week. So they may be trying to ramp him up to be available to play. So you don't know who's going to be behind center at this point. We may not know until Sunday morning when the inactive list comes out. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But we may not know until Sunday morning who's going to be the quarterback for the Colts. So it's going to put some pressure on Mike Vrabel to prepare for all 3 quarterbacks that the Colts have.
And that's one thing you want to go into this game is to be prepared to face a tough team, regardless who's under center. Because regardless of who's under center, that team's going to show up. For some reason, the Colts always give us a tough – everybody wants a blowout. I understand. Everybody wants a blowout. But I feel like it will be still a close matchup regardless and stuff like that. And let's talk about the Tennessee Titans and our overtime victory, which was really, really nice against Seattle, 33-30. If you can give us some of the stats and talk a little bit about the game, what you saw, what you didn't like.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, when you go look at the stat sheet on this one, the Titans statistically dominated this ball game, had more first downs, had over 500 yards of offense. Seattle really, our defense really shut them down in the second half. They had the one play on the blown coverage assignment.
Yeah.
But Shane Bowen did a really nice job at halftime. A lot of times we've been talking about Shane Bowen ever since last year, but you have to give credit where credit was due. There were a couple of adjustments he did in the secondary. Obviously, he benched McDougal. McDougal didn't play much in the second half. He put in Cruikshank at the single high safety position, and he made some other subtle adjustments that we'll talk about as well on Sunday when I do my pregame show. But he made some subtle adjustments. So I want to give Shane Bowen credit where credit is due. Now he has to make another adjustment this week going up against Carson Wentz. And then it's interesting because the first 2 weeks of the season, the Titans have faced really mobile quarterbacks in Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson. Of course, Carson Wentz is mobile as well. But if he plays, he may not be as mobile this week. So he may be more of a stationary target. And then, of course, if you have Eason or Hundley in the backfield, they're also going to be stationary targets. So it's going to be important for the Titans to get pressure on the quarterback, corral him in the pocket. But most importantly in this ball game is going to be our run defense. They're going to really have to tighten up the running game because I expect the Colts – excuse me one second. Sorry.
That's all right.
This thing don't want to turn on. The Colts are going to want to run the football this week.
Early.
They're going to want to run the rock this week. Jonathan Taylor, Marlon Mack got a few carries last week. And then, of course, they have Hines, their third down guy. Those are the guys that worry me the most, are those three-headed monster in the backfield.
Definitely. Now, and now of the inactives and stuff like that, and the injury report for the Tennessee Titans, who is officially out now?
Yeah, as far as out right now, you got Anthony Fursker. He's going to be out again, so you should get another heavy dose of Michael Pruitt.
I liked it.
Derek Roberson, outside linebacker. He's inactive again. And then I think there was one more inactive that we had. I know it was those two guys for sure that were ruled out for the ball game already.
Caleb Farley is another one that was completely.
And Farley, Caleb Farley. Caleb Farley is going to be out as well. So another week without a number one pick being in a lineup. But what else is new?
Hey, what are you going to do? But I did like again, Christian Fulton's been playing a part. I liked what he's been doing as of lately and stuff like that. And people were kind of getting on Molden as well. But again, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. We got two elite quarterbacks that are very mobile and very dangerous outside the pocket. So not that's the quarterbacks put behind us, but I mean, at least now we kind of get, like you said, stationary quarterbacks where we can kind of get to the quarterback. I think Autry is going to have a hell of a game. I think he's going to come in and do some damage. I really liked it. I mean, he was doing really, really well as well in the Seahawks game, pushing that offensive line. So that's something to look for. What matchups are you looking forward the most right now?
Danico Autry is one that you mentioned because the Titans, we thought Danico Autry may come in and kind of play some defensive tackle next to Simmons, but he's been lined up a lot on the outside. So I look for that matchup on the outside, him and Bud Dupree going against those tackles of the Indianapolis Colts. Eric Fisher just got back, played his first game last week. Their right tackle is out, I believe, again. He hasn't practiced all week. He did not play last week. So if we can attack the Colts on the edge, that's going to be tremendous for us because that will keep the quarterback from escaping outside of the pocket. So I think that's going to be a key matchup on the defensive side of the ball. On the offensive side of the ball, I want to see what our tight ends can do. Greg Swain, he had a horrible game last week against Seattle. That was at least half a dozen times that he got beat by the defensive end or the outside linebacker coming in. They either got to Ryan Tannehill or they forced a negative run play with Derrick Henry before Henry got off in the second half. But Greg Swain had a horrible game. So with Fursker out, you may see the kid that came up on the practice squad last week that had a couple of nice catches. Hudson. Yeah. You may see more of Michael Pruitt, who I thought had an outstanding football game.
Hell yeah.
So I'm interested to see what the Titans tight ends do against those linebackers and defensive ends of Indianapolis, because you don't want the Colts have a good defense. They haven't played up to their standard thus far. That's true. They can put some pressure on the quarterback. DeForest Buckner, Darius Leonard. You expect those guys to be hyped and to bring it for this game, especially since they know that their offense may be limited. They're going to try to slow down the Titans even more.
Definitely. All right, now this is prediction time. Let's do it. This is the fun part. Prediction time, Ken. What you got? Do you have a close game? Do you got a blowout like everyone on Twitter wants to know? What's your prediction? What do you think?
Well, for those that don't know, I've been doing weekly predictions, and I'm 2 for 2 so far on the Titans. I haven't been predicting winners and losers. I've strictly been going against the point spread. The Titans come into this game as a 5.5-point favorite. Oh. All right. The Titans have lost the last 3 games against the Colts at home. This is a divisional game. This is a very important game. Derrick Henry, on the other hand, he's rushed for more than 100 yards each of the last 3 games against the Colts. So you got a couple of different dynamics at play. As much as I want to go with the Titans to cover the spread, I think the Colts found a way to run the football on the Titans eat up some time of possession. They may force a turnover here or there if they can get a strip sack on Tannehill. As of today, at the time of taping, I'm going with the Colts to cover the 5.5-point spread.
Okay. Interesting. Again, and that's one thing I love about you. You know, you just keep it real, and it's what you feel like. Again, I said it before. I go, look at this. So we get blown out in Arizona. We beat Seattle, which we're not supposed to win. And then we end up playing the Colts at home. I wouldn't be surprised if we lose a game at home. It's just typical Titan fashion. Now, my heart, I'm like, no, like we turned that, turned that page. You know, we're a different team, different era. So I'm gonna go. It's a toss-up for me. I think it's gonna be a low-scoring game, maybe 21-17. I think so. I think it's gonna be a gritty game, and I feel like the momentum we have right now. But it's happened before. I don't know. It's like I'll flip a coin. I don't know. It's either 21-17 Titans or 21-17 Colts. I can't. I don't know. So we'll see.
I think a low-scoring game definitely favors the Colts, because if they hold us to 17 to 21 points, then the Titans, I believe, are going to be in some serious trouble, because that means the offense is not moving the football. That means the defense is on the field a lot because we're not getting first downs. And then also you got to factor in the kicker, Randy Bullock. I mean, he was 4 or 5 last week, but a couple of those kicks barely snuck inside the upright. So I don't have a lot of confidence in him as well. In my feeling, I think the Titans are the better football team. They're clearly the better football team.
Yeah, definitely.
The question is, will they play like the better football team? Will the coaches make the necessary adjustments? Is Todd Downing going to come out and run the ball with Derrick Henry on first and second down like he's done the first 2 weeks of the season? Or does he finally open it up in the first quarter and say, hey, let me get A.J. Brown involved. Let me get Julio Jones involved. Yep. Let me get Chester Rogers involved. Let me get these tight ends involved. The Titans have too many weapons to solely rely on Derrick Henry touching the ball for 40 times. So overall, I know that the Titans are a better team. The Titans should win this game 30-17. But something tells me that there's going to be a mistake. There's going to be a missed field goal. There's going to be a turnover. There's going to be a 4th and 2 where we decide to punt the ball instead of going for it. And it's just something about the Colts in Nissan Stadium that makes us all just a little bit nervous.
Definitely, but it's going to be a great game. Again, that's the 1-1 Titans versus the 0-2 Colts, which again makes them a little bit more dangerous, man. 0-2, they're scratching their claw, and they're gonna bring out all their tricks. So again, thank you so much, Ken, for coming on. I appreciate it. Maybe we'll do the post game. I know I'll jump on your pregame show Sunday, and thank you guys so much for watching. And tighten up. Let's go.
Tighten up.